today the type of logic we're going to be focusing on is deductive reasoning, or the process of reasoning logically and drawing a conclusion from facts and statements. Okay, so you have facts and statements, and from that you draw a conclusion. Okay, and we're going to be looking at the law of detachment and syllogism. The law of detachment says that when you're given a conditional statement, so your if P then Q statement, okay, if P then Q statement, then if the hypothesis is true, then the conclusion is true. Okay, makes sense. So it states that if you have if P then Q, all right, and P is observed to be true, therefore Q. Okay, and these three dots that I just drew right here, these three dots that form a triangle, means therefore. Okay, it means that from this I can draw the conclusion that. Okay, therefore. All right, so let's take a look at a couple of examples. Feel free to pause this if you need another moment to write it down. So here are some examples where we're using the law of detachment to give a valid conclusion. Okay, so our first says if Mark earns $30, he can buy a new video game. Okay, so this is our if then statement. If P, right? So we have if P, then Q, then he can buy a new statement. And then here, Mark saves $30. So it says earns saves. I'm going to assume that that means the same thing. Since he saved $30, so since we have been given P, then our conclusion is therefore Q. Okay, so we can conclude therefore Q. Okay, which we might want to write out. Okay, he can buy a new video game. Okay, so let's take a look at the second one. If a quadrilateral is a rhombus, so we have if a quadrilateral is a rhombus, so if P, then Q, then it's also a parallelogram. It says that quadrilateral ABCD is a rhombus. So we've been given a specific P, right? So the conclusion we can draw is specific. It is then quadrilateral ABCD is a parallelogram. Okay, so if P then Q, we've been given P, therefore Q. Okay, let's check out one more and then I'll have you try a couple on your own. For number 3, if you're 18 years old, so if P, then Q, then you can register to vote. Okay, Olivia is not 18 years old. Okay, so we have been given a not P. So the law of detachment says that I have to have if P then Q followed by a P. We have been given a not P. Olivia is not 18 years old. Okay, so our conclusion is none. We are not able to draw a conclusion. So you would write no valid conclusion. Okay, you can't just automatically negate Q and come to that conclusion. Okay, because an inverse is not necessarily true. Okay, go ahead and try 4 and 5 on your own. Pause this video and see how you do. Okay, so you should have come to the conclusion for 4 that angle J and angle K are complementary angles. And for 5, that is a no valid conclusion. Okay, so for this one, the sum of 2 angle measures the sum of the measures of two angles is 90. So we have two measures that angle 90, then they are complementary. And here we've been given two angles whose sum is 90 degrees. So we're able to draw the conclusion that they are complementary. Here, however, though, it says if you plan to attend the prom, so if P, then you have to buy a ticket, then Q. Sarah purchases a prom ticket. So we have not been given P, we've been given Q, right? We cannot draw the converse conclusion, okay? We can't say if Q then P and draw the conclusion of P. No valid conclusion can be drawn, even though we were given one of the statements, it was not P. Order matters for these, okay? All right, now let's take a look at the law of syllogism. So for the law of detachment, we were looking at one if-then statement followed by a P statement, drawing a conclusion from Q. Here we're actually going to be working from two conditional statements. So I have two conditional statements where the conclusion, where your conclusion of the first statement is the hypothesis of the second statement. Hypothesis. So I think symbolically it looks a little easier. So I start with an if P then Q, and then my next statement, as opposed to being a single P, is another conditional. If Q, then R. From this, we're able to draw the conclusion of therefore, remember that's what those three dots mean, if P, then R. Bonus points if you can remember what property of equality this looks like. If you said the transitive property, you are correct. It's very, very similar to the transitive property of equality, right? So let's check out a couple of examples. We have if it is Saturday. Okay, so if it's Saturday, then Jake has a baseball tournament. So if P, then Q. All right, Jake has a baseball tournament. So we are starting off with the hypothesis of our second statement being the same as our conclusions. That's a good start. And then a new statement. Then he needs to pack his lunch, or R. So if it's Saturday, Jake has a baseball tournament. And then if Jake has a baseball tournament, he'll need to pack his lunch. All right, we do follow this if P then Q, and then if Q then R. Therefore, we can draw the conclusion of if it is Saturday, then he, or you can say Jake, either way, will need to pack his lunch. Okay, let's try another one. All right, so for this one, we have if a number is divisible by 12, then it's divisible by 6. So if P, then Q, divisible by 6. If a number is divisible by 6, so same as our Q, then it's divisible by 3, new statement, so an R. We do have if P, then Q, and Q does repeat as the hypothesis here. So we have a valid law of syllogism, or we can apply the law of syllogism and draw the conclusion that therefore, if a number is divisible by 6, then it is divisible by 3. So if P, then R. Okay? Try number 8 on your own really quick. Pause this if you need to. Well, let's check out how you did. So this is a valid syllogism. We have If a quad is a square, so we have ourselves square quad for P, then it's a rectangle for Q. So we should start with rectangle, which we do. And then it has 4 right angles, new statement R. So if P then Q, if Q then R, therefore we can draw the conclusion that if P then R. So if a quad is a square, then it has 4 right angles. Ta-da! All right, now let's look at a couple of exceptions. So for number 9, we have if it is a sunny weekend. If it is sunny this weekend. All right, so we have sunny weekend for P. Then you will go boating. Who goes boating? I don't know, I guess these people go boating. Then you'll go boating. So if it's sunny, then you will go boating. I'd really just say if it's sunny, then you know what, we're gonna let that go. If it's sunny this weekend, then you will go boating. Then for the next statement, it says, if it is sunny this weekend, okay, so now we're talking about the sun again, then you'll wear shorts. All right, so there is something wrong with this, right? Symbolically, we would say that this is if P, then Q, where sunny is our P and Q is our boat. And then the next statement is if P, then R. Okay, so the difficulty is that this portion should be an Q in order for the law of syllogism to apply. Okay, so since we do not follow the correct symbolic argument, we cannot draw a conclusion. All right, so the conclusion here again is no valid conclusion. You can also just put not valid. That would be fine too. Go ahead and try 10 and 11 on your own. Pause the video and resume when you're ready to check them out. Okie dokie. So for number 10, if you said that this was not a valid argument, you're correct. No valid conclusion can be drawn here, right? Because it says if you shop at Target, then you'll use your red card, okay? Do not use your red card. So this is actually not Q, right? So instead of, they did use a Q, but they negated it. So instead of being use your Target red card, it is not use your Target red card, not Q. Okay, so since we did not have a valid Q there, we can draw no valid conclusion. However, number 11 was valid. If it snows, school will be canceled. School is canceled, then students need to make up a day of school. Okay, so we can draw the valid conclusion that if it snows, if P, then R, then students will need to make up a day of school. Okay, so hopefully you have filled in your notes, and we are going to do some partner practice. I look forward to seeing you again in class soon. Bye.